Get cool stuff for what you were going to do anyway. Drink beer. With Buy Beer, Get Gear from Labatt, you can just snap a photo of your receipt and upload it to the website to rack up points for exclusive merch. Get points for every purchase, whether you're grabbing a pint on draft, a case for a party, or a tall boy at the stadium. Any size, any product, anywhere you buy Labatt. Buy beer, get gear. Sign up now at rewards.labattusa.com.
And used rides, fine and Cicero. At Verdict Toyota, all of our hand-picked pre-owned Toyota models offer terrific value for the money. And so do our other carefully chosen used rides, fine and Cicero. At Verdict Toyota, all of our
Steve is my favorite part of the show. How's that?
I like that. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I'm checking. I will respond to you, but I'm done.
Steve is my favorite part of the show.
I'll just shut up and let you talk. I was trying to help. Thank you for saying that.
Shout out to Tupac.
This is Orange Nation.
I'll just shut up and let you talk. Thank you. I was trying to help.
With Stephen Fonte and Paulie Sevilla. This is Orange Nation.
Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to have you with us. Alongside Mario Sacco today, I'm Stephen Fonte. No Paulie Sibilia. He is off heading to Charlottesville, Virginia for a big game tomorrow between the Orange and the Cavaliers. We've got Eric Devendorf on our show today coming up at 1 o'clock. He's our lone guest. We want to hear from you. 315-437-7644. We'll talk basketball. We'll talk lacrosse. Maybe we will get into some Super Bowl. We really haven't talked about the Super Bowl to this point.
Do you want to talk about the Patriots?
Last
Steve?
chance to do so. I hope to talk about it on Monday following a Patriots loss, hopefully. But we shall see. Quick side note. So my son, Kevin in Liverpool knows this because he gave us these figurines. It's a Josh Allen figurine, a Sean McDermott figurine, and a Stephon Diggs figurine. Like these little you've probably seen them in Wegmans.
I heard you talking a little bit about this. I was wondering how you got the Diggs one, so keep going.
So, well, they're all in Bills uniforms. So Allen and Diggs are in a Bills uniform. So my little guy has this thing when we watch games together, he likes them to see the TV. He likes Josh Allen and he likes Sean McDermott to see the TV. And so when they played the Patriots, he had them all lined up. He had Stephon Diggs as well. And it was the first game, and the Bills lost to the Patriots this year. So I told him we can't do that anymore. So I said going into this game that he's got to find a really good hiding spot for Stephon Diggs so that he can't see the TV. So he's taking it very seriously. And he told me last night, he's like, I've got a few spots where I think I'm going to put Stephon Diggs. So anyway.
I'm going to give him the Maloik. So the Italian family Maloik right to Stephon Diggs.
So if the Patriots lose, my son is going to take some credit for it. So anyway, maybe we'll get into the Super Bowl as things move along. But if I told Paulie that story, he'd be rolling his eyes and would say, cool story, bro. So thank you for at least listening to me. And
I find that hysterical. I mean, I have two little kids, too. Yes. I don't know if Jackson would go that far, but that's pretty funny. And he's going to have to find another place for McDermott now as well.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Poor guy.
Yeah, I know, exactly. As long as Josh Allen is still a part of the team, that's all that matters. We are going to get into SU basketball, certainly. We should begin, though, with the women. And, this team is playing good basketball. I know last night, and I said this on the news last night. I said, there are no gimmies in conference play. Boston College is as close to a gimme as it comes, right? They had lost 16 games. But Syracuse went out and not only did they win, they won comfortably. They were able to rest their starters for the most part in that fourth quarter. And here they are, tied for third in the conference, safely in the tournament right now. And they've got a really big one on Sunday, noon start against number 6 Louisville. Louisville's coming here on Sunday.
A Louisville team that's going to come here kind of angry. They came off a 1-point loss for the top of the ACC. Now Duke remains the only undefeated team in the ACC. But when you're looking at this Syracuse women's team, we always talk about the big three and Uche Ezoje, an outstanding freshman year that she's had at both ends of the floor, and the transfers in Layla Filia and Dominique Darius. They had 14 different players score in the win over Boston College, and I know it's just Boston College, and they've lost 16 straight games, haven't won in an ACC play, but they did what they had to do. Maddie Potts came off the bench, hit 4 threes. Everyone was hitting threes in the basketball game. Dominique Darius had 10 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. Filia was in double figures as well. So as Coach Jack has told us time and time again, it just isn't that one person that you've seen over these Syracuse basketball teams of the past. You know, when it comes to crunch time, you know, in the past, it was relying on Tiana. You know, after that, the great career of, I apologize, her name is not coming to me right now, for the SU women's basketball team. Deasia Fair,
yes, okay.
Which that's on my bad. But you had that person that you could rely on. Here, it's more of a team. You know, we've seen Dominique Darius hit big shots. We've seen Layla Filia at times be able to carry this basketball team. And if you can keep Uche out of foul trouble, which they have been, she's a double-double machine and going to be one of the best players to ever wear a Syracuse uniform, if we can keep her in a Syracuse uniform, but that's for another time.
Yeah, Tim Leonard brought that up the other day, that she really struggled with fouls early in the season because she was not only getting accustomed to the college game, she was getting accustomed to the game in America. It's a different game for her. They call it differently, and she, you know, as Tim was pointing out, she'd commit some fouls early in the season and not understand why they were fouls. You know, like a moving screen, or you know, and the game is called differently here in America than where she was used to playing. So it did take her some time to settle in. Not very much time because she's been awesome, but she has been staying out of foul trouble lately.
In that first half, they out-rebounded Boston College 28-10 in the basketball game. Like, when you have that difference maker down low, it's a world of difference, something that the women's team didn't have last year. And there were a lot of pieces missing off that basketball team last year. That, you know, transfers that you brought in weren't as solid, but this year is a team, and they're playing like it, and they enjoy sharing the basketball. They're averaging over 75 points a game, and, you know, they put up 93 last night.
And that's why I say, like, that team with Deasia Fair her last year, they were obviously very, very good, and she was, a once-in-a-lifetime type player here. This team, I think the ceiling could be higher for this team because they are balanced. And, you know, you look at it, we had our Orange Nation TV show last night, and we're talking about Layla Filia, how she's leading the team in scoring at 14.6 points per game, right? They're averaging 75 points per game. The fact that their leading scorer is 14.6 shows the balance, shows that you can't just stop one player on this team.
And that's come in swings. Like, she's had her moments of dropping, you know, high 20s lately, but, you know, when she's down, it's those other players that are picking her up. We talked about it at the beginning of the year. I thought coming into the year, because I didn't know much about Dominique Darius and Layla Filia and what they would be here at Syracuse. I thought Sophie Burrows was going to be your best player. Well, Sophie Burrows is still an outstanding player, but look at it. She's probably their fourth best player on this basketball team right now.
Yeah, right.
And that tells you the depth of what this team has, and she has the trust to go to the bench when she needs to. Olivia Schmidt's been playing more, and you know, down the line that you can go to those players and trust them.
I see in our chat, Red Rob brings up Sienna last night. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that game at all.
That was another one I wanted to touch on in a minute, so I'll go where you need to go, and then I'll
No, I was just going to mention that, you know, Sienna is a game out of first place right now. And Gavin Doty, I remember...
you remember watching him in high school?
I do remember watching him in high school. Yeah. He was very good. And I remember having a text exchange with Jerry about a year ago. Just, you know, we were talking about his team and what he had coming back. And his direct quote was, Gavin is a stud. And Gavin is a stud. And you saw him last night.
Scores on 3 levels. Like
he took over down the stretch of that game. He had 13 points in the last 13 minutes. And they turned a game where they trailed really the whole first half. They were down 7 at the break to Iona, and they come back and they win it by 7. You know, made some free throws, made some plays down the stretch, and Gavin Doty was a big part of that. And I'm just throwing that out there. Not to, you know, we don't have to get into the whole, you know, should Jerry be the next head coach here?
No, but
just pointing out that he is having a great year, and Gavin Doty's been a big reason why.
Yeah, and if you know, are in the dark and are just looking at the records, like I saw on social media today, well, his best wins against Marist, and they're 151st thing. He's winning at Siena in a program that won 4 games 2 years ago. Like, he's bringing in recruits. He's getting that local talent in a Gavin Doty. When Ryan Mesh steps foot on campus there, what he's going to be able to add to that basketball team. And they're more than just that. You know, Justice Schultz excuse me if I'm mispronouncing his last name incorrectly, is a very good ball player as well. That's a dangerous Siena team, and they're going to have their tough games coming up. They got, St. Peter's coming up and Merrimack, who sits atop the conference.
Yeah, I mean, and I heard Jerry talking after the game last night, and he said, the goal was to compete for a conference title there, and they're right in the mix to potentially win that conference. They control their own destiny right now. If they beat the teams that are ahead, I think there's only one team ahead of them if I'm not mistaken.
They're tied with St. Peter's and Merrimack is a game ahead.
Merrimack's a game ahead of them, and they lost to Merrimack, so they get them one more time. But they're a game back right now, and obviously having a great year, and Gavin Doty's been a big part of that. Moving on to the men, I don't know how much of the show you've listened to of late. Or of
I just try and tune Paulie out, but no, it's neither here nor there.
We've touched on a lot of stuff recently, from the whole coaching situation to Donnie being pulled out of the starting lineup and then put back in, to the way the team's playing. You've heard enough of it. Is there anything that is pressing on your mind before we open it up to phone calls that you want to either respond to or talk about a little bit more related to the topics with this team?
The topic of the coaching change and when's it going to happen, when's it not going to happen, and us being always on Red's side. Like, I want to get the narrative out there that it's not that way. Right from the get-go, you guys have said if Red doesn't have a good year, in the media, we've said that, like from top to bottom, if he doesn't have a good year, he's likely not coming back. And what's gone on over this month of January, now spilling into February, is leaving a stain on the Syracuse basketball program and where it has been. And who's going to be the next head coach? I have no idea. And can Syracuse turn it around? Like, slim to none are their chances probably right now. But to state that we're always sticking up for Adrian Autry, that's far from the narrative, and you're just listening to what you want to listen to, and that's what kind of bothers me a little bit, I guess.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. We've got Pat in Syracuse kicking us off here in the first segment. Always good to hear from Pat. What's going on?
Pat, were you just waiting for me to be a guest host on here, or what, bud?
You nailed it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Paulie is just a ball of fun, and I'm already missing him already. But Mario, I wanted to take 30 seconds and talk about high school hoops, and then transition to Syracuse baskets.
Fair enough.
So listen, last night, too bad you didn't have a Thursday night fever. A couple really good games, obviously with the West Jenny CNS, Liverpool, Nottingham. Kind of boiling my blood because the basketball team obviously isn't going to do that in this cold winter. So, did you happen to check out any of that action? Yeah,
I'm good friends with Kyle Martin, CNS's coach, and he told me them being up by 15 and losing. The game of the night was probably JD and ESM. ESM won at the buzzer against JD to stay in first place in the Empire Division, I do believe, of the SCAC.
Well, since you brought up Kyle Martin, I'm sure you know he was just a ball of fun like Paulie when they unfortunately lost that 15-point lead on the road. That's a fun game to officiate for sure. And Kyle will laugh if he hears it.
I'll have him pick on you some more next time he's on the sidelines with you.
That's okay. My wife's tougher than him, so you know how that goes. Talking about Red and the situation, it would be great to kind of hear from Wild Hack because I understand what you guys are saying. Like, it's not like. I mean, you have to be objective. You have to be objective.
But right from the get-go, have Steve and Paulie, I'm going to throw myself in, not said that, like, if he doesn't have a successful season this year, things are going to be on the table. Those conversations are going to be had. But we're not to the point of we have to belittle the head coach. Like, I don't believe in the style of offense at times that they run. Like, I can do that and still be critical and still be, not hating on the guy is what I'm getting at, Pat.
Yeah, I think critics it is so easy to be a critic. I mean, look, I do it. We all do it. It's sports. But at the end of the day, both you, me, and Steve could all agree that we thought this team would be doing better, and there's a numerous amount of reasons why it's not. Some of it is on the players, some of it is on the coaches. But I really don't think, if I was John Wildhack, and I really believe this, and this is my opinion, if I'm interviewing Adrian Autry, I do not hire him as the head coach. It would be like hiring somebody for like a GM of a hotel, of a good hotel, who's never been a GM of a hotel. You just don't do it. I mean, that's my thing. Unless you have that rare breed like a Brad Stevens, who, is just super intelligent, great basketball mind, very articulate, very intelligent. Somebody like that, sure, they're going to blow you away in the interview. Nobody can convince me that Adrian Autry blew anybody away in the interview. So because the university and the powers that be settled for Adrian Autry and set him up for failure, now he's the whipping boy, and I'll be the first to whip him.
I got one question. One question for you, Pat. What do you make of some of the players, former players, saying this goes beyond Red coaching? Like, it's not all Red's fault when it comes to coaching. What do you make of that? Because I've seen that over a couple of players, John Gillen being the most recent saying it.
Yeah, I mean, this goes to part of what I was implying weeks ago about how the family is broken. I mean, this is just one piece of that family being broken, and people can roll their eyes and do whatever they want, but when you have all these different perspectives sharing similar stories, chances are those stories are pretty true. And going back to the whole Gillen thing and all that, that goes to the whole bigger picture. I mean, there's people that have been on the radio that said, that the university doesn't invest, in the priorities it needs to for athletics to thrive. So there's a lot of powers. I don't know how all the endowments work with the money. It is pretty much separate. We were told as SU fans, basketball predominantly, that we needed to suck it up and go to the ACC for financial wealth and for longevity and for basically like everything that's going to make this program what we had hoped it to be. So, but in the end, so far it hasn't worked.
Yeah, and that's top to bottom with these schools that have jumped to the ACC. Look at how Boston College has struggled. Look at how Pittsburgh has struggled. We talked about Syracuse's record since joining the ACC and what it is. Pitt's like 30 games worse in conference play.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it is a tough bill.
I apologize, Pat. Thanks, Pat.
Pat, thanks for coming on. Appreciate it. That was our opening drive, brought to you by Burdick BMW of Cicero. Phone lines are jam-packed. We're going to take a quick time out here. We're going to get to your phone calls on the other side. We're back after this on ESPN Radio.
I can't see the board or anything, so if anyone's messaging me or like direct, if you want to tell me, it's all right. I don't have the laptop like Steve, so.
This segment, you guys getting Devo on? You're going to try and cut out before.
He's on at 1 o'clock.
Oh, it's 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Kevin from Liverpool wanted to know how you slept.
Steve's the one that normally sleeps bad. I actually did not sleep the greatest last night. My dog has not been doing well, so I tried to stay downstairs with him, and he was constantly pacing back and forth between the rooms. So
I'm sorry to hear that. What breed dog do you have?
I have he just turned 13. It's a Labrador mix, black lab mix, and he's been on his last leg for a while. He's diabetic. We have to give him insulin shots, and yeah, it's slowly getting to that time, but
I knew a guy that beat diabetes once.
Yeah.
He's a heavier set fellow and
lost a bunch of weight. And
no, he didn't lose weight. So the claim seems kind of interesting, but all I know is that we would see him just have like only vinegar. Like he wouldn't, like he would have water and vinegar. He wouldn't eat snacks or anything. He was the radio engineer for Virginia Tech.
Okay.
So we would go like 12-hour days with him, helping him set up and break down. And he's just sitting there taking shots of vinegar.
So weird.
It's really bizarre.
So weird.
So
yeah.
maybe put your dog on vinegar shots.
2 days. It's more of his legs are giving out on him now, and
how it was with my lab.
Just he's got bumps all over that you just hope aren't, causing pain, because when that happens, then I'm gonna have to put him down. But he's been a good one.
What's his name?
Murphy. I name all my animals after like ex-Penguins or Pirates players.
Oh, okay.
So he's named after Larry Murphy, former Penguins defenseman back in the 90s.
You from Pittsburgh?
About an hour east of there.
Gotcha.
I grew up right next to Indiana University of Pennsylvania, IUP.
Oh, okay.
So, Syracuse scrimmaged a couple years ago, 2 or 3 years ago.
What kind of sound do we have for lacrosse?
I haven't listened to it yet. Jim Schwartz sent a Browns resignation letter this morning, poor sources. What's going on in Cleveland? The only thing I saw was he touched on the about the start of the season and how it's a debacle. Oh, there you go. Yeah, it's
kill the mic for 1 second. No, yeah. All right, Stephen Fonte, Mario Sacco with you here up until 2 o'clock. Paulie is on his way down to Charlottesville to cover the game. Let's get back to the phone lines at 315-437-7644. Cam in Ohio is up next on the show. Cam, what's going on?
Hey, Steve. How you guys doing today, Steve and Mario?
Good, Cam. What part of Ohio, Cam?
I'm in Columbus, Ohio, actually.
I was born in Toledo.
Nice. It's we got a lot of snow up here. I was spent 27 years in Syracuse, big fan. I had season tickets in the 80s, so great to be on. I really enjoy your show, Steve. You and Paulie are something else. You guys make me laugh.
Thank you. Appreciate listening.
Watch you guys on YouTube. So I've got 3 points. The last 2 points I'd like your thoughts on, and then an out-of-the-box coaching candidate from what you guys talked about yesterday. So real quick, I watched the North Carolina game. I watched all the games. The first 30 minutes of the North Carolina game, the half-court offense looked lost, and they really have looked lost for the majority of the season. So that's really just, my point there, and just really what I see on the court. Now, the second and third point. So just a thought on this. I agree with you and many of the callers. I think Syracuse has a talented team. If North Carolina and Syracuse swapped coaches, so Hubert would be the SU coach, Autry would be the North Carolina coach, would the outcome have been different? Maybe the end result wouldn't have changed, but the game may have been a lot closer throughout. So just kind of ponder that. And then the third point, also like your thoughts on, is I haven't really heard much about 2026, 2027 high school recruiting, right? So it doesn't appear just from me, and then I do a little bit of research. try to hear what's going on, that there are a lot of players interested in coming to Syracuse. So I'm guessing maybe the players are smart enough to understand what's going on with the coaching staff. So we talk about if or when Autry gets fired. So even if he doesn't, there's going to be roster spots that will need to be filled in 2026. Does that mean that there'll be transfers? So kind of just ponder that. And then out-of-the-box coaching candidate, Steve, you say you watch a lot of college basketball. I think I watch a lot as well. If you've watched Iowa State and the way that they run their offense, and I've watched them blow out Purdue, I watched them play Kansas, TJ Otzelberger's staff, I'm sure he's got some really talented guys there, and I think this team needs an offensive coach. So I'll kind of hear your thoughts. I really appreciate listening to you guys and watching you guys. Have a great weekend.
You as well, Cam. Thanks for checking.
Thanks, Cam.
Good call. Really do appreciate that. Let's.
You want to go down the line?
Well, I was going to say, I think I'm going to hit him in reverse order. So, in terms of like the thinking outside the box, and I realize he wasn't saying that they would be the number one candidate. The thing that concerns me about going assistant coach off of a quality staff is that I personally firmly believe they need somebody who has head coaching experience, coming off a situation in which they went with an assistant who, was on the bench for a really long time, but had never done it himself, and it has not gone well. Now, I'm not saying an assistant, can't step in and do the job as a head coach. You see what John Shire's doing at Duke. I mean, maybe that's an extreme example given the talent that they get there. We were just talking about Jerry down the road at Siena. He had never been a head coach. I mean, there are certainly examples of guys who step into it. I don't know if you go from never being a head coach, though, to stepping into a place like Syracuse. Yes, John Shire, I think, is the exception to the rule. It's a tough spot, and there is a learning curve, and I think they need somebody who's done it before, who's run a program before, who is coming in ready to win immediately.
What tier do you put Syracuse head coaching job on? Because back in the day, it used to be a top tier.
Yeah.
Is it that way anymore?
I mean, we talked about that on the show a little bit yesterday, and we've talked about it of late. I still think it's a really good job.
Because I'm saying, can you pull these guys away?
Well, that's what I was going to say. So let me finish there. In terms of how much you're going to pay, and Paulie brought up the point the other day. He doesn't always have great points, but he did have a good point in, yes, you're interviewing for the next head coach, but there are going to be some questions that coach is going to ask you, and you better be prepared to answer them. Like, what does my NIL look like, especially in year one? What does my salary look like? What does my staff look like? What kind of resources do I have here? So, how does that stack up with the other openings that said candidate will be, applying for and interviewing for? That's hard to say, right? But I think in terms of the prestige, we know that you can win here. Now, can you win here in the NIL era? Those are some hard questions that Syracuse University is going to have to answer. So, yes, I think that they could get a quality coach. Are they, going to outbid everybody else for Josh Schertz, for instance? I know, he's a hot name right now. Probably not, right? So he's probably not the guy that they're going to get. They may have to go down the pecking order a little bit, but I still think it's a prestigious job. And, a lot of it comes down to resources and money. What can you afford? What are you willing to afford?
If you're touching on the next one, 26, 2027 recruits, right now Syracuse has 0.
Well, right, and I think
those are coming down the line that normally within, you've seen a couple of 5-star guys, and Syracuse has been in the mix for these top 100 guys. But when you talk about roster changeover, it's going to happen. You're going to have 5, 6, 7 new guys every season when it comes to college basketball these days.
Yeah, I think they're going to go heavy in the portal, and I think that, yes, part of the reason, and maybe a big part of the reason that they don't have everybody in that class is that the kids are going to want to know what's going on with the program. And I think everybody can read the direction this thing's going. And do you want to commit to a place that's going to be making a coaching change? So, I think that's an issue, right? Anytime that there is a lame duck head coach type situation, the kids are going to want to they're going to want to know who they're playing for, and so there's obviously no clarity right now in terms of what's going to happen. So that does not surprise me, but that doesn't mean that you can't field a talented roster, right? I mean, especially with the transfer portal. So I'm less concerned about that, and I think everybody's more concerned about who the leader of the program is going to be next year. And I think once that falls into place and once there's some clarity about who will be the leader of the program, then those other things will fall into line. In terms of Hubert Davis, if they swapped head coaches, I don't know. I mean, I think, Hubert Davis is on the hot seat himself.
If you maybe put a different coach in that.
I don't know. I mean, I think the point being that if he was trying to make the point that North Carolina has better players, North Carolina has better players. Now, with that being said, and Cam started his call by saying, that he agrees with us that Syracuse has a talented roster. I think Syracuse had enough talent this year to
not be down by 32 points at North Carolina.
Right, and to be in the mix for the tournament. And right now they are not in the mix for the tournament. And the only way to get in the mix is to either go on some miraculous run this month, which is not going to happen, or run the table in Charlotte, which is not going to happen. Stranger things have happened, so you can never say never, but they are not in the mix for the NCAA tournament. And I think that's the most disappointing thing is that, you could look at year one and say, well, it was a transition. The roster wasn't quite what he wanted. Year two, the NIL wasn't what you wanted. Plus, the injuries, the JJ and Donnie. This year, it felt like, okay, the NIL was there. The resources were there. The talent on the roster was better. I'm not saying it was Duke and North Carolina better, but the talent was better. And aside from Donnie's injury, they have been healthy, and they're not sniffing.
And here's where you're going to get the clapback of right from the jump. We knew that he wasn't a good coach because of the results of the Colgate losses and how they played against Lemoyne's. Like, he was also feeling it out as a head coach, and now by year 3, that feeling out period is way out the window, and we've seen it time and time again of. If it be lineup changes that kind of make you scratch your head or just being down by 32 on the road. I don't care how much fight you had in the basketball game to get back in it. You were never really in that game against North Carolina.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Mark in New York City checking back in. Mark, we apologize for keeping you waiting. Glad you called back. How are you today?
Yeah, no problem. Sorry, I had to hop on a quick call and wanted to make sure I was able to call back in. But happy Friday, everyone.
Same to you.
I was watching, and I know you guys touched on it earlier in the show, but I was watching on ESPNU last night the Siena game. And, I don't know how closely you guys watched that game, but Siena started off bad. They were down 7 points at halftime, and Jerry in the second half made lineup adjustments, coached that team. And if you were watching that stadium and how Jerry was coaching that team, he had that place bumping. And it was truly an electric atmosphere. I'll actually be heading to the game tomorrow, the Siena-St. Peter's game, so I'm excited to see Jerry in action. But, I think I called early this week asking what your criteria was for a head coach, and you talked about Northeast ties, you talked about head coach experience. And, look, Jerry took over a program that was last place in the MAC. They had 4 wins. He turned around to 15 wins the first season was there. He's already got 17 wins in contention to make the tournament, in contention to win a conference. He's got the head coach experience. He's got the Northeast ties. I'm looking at some of his past recruits here. He was responsible for recruiting Cole Swider, Michael Carter-Williams, Tyler Ennis, Michael Benajay, Elijah Hughes, Deion Waiters. Jerry was the main recruiter, and I know people say he wasn't a good recruiter. Those are all big-time names that all made it to the NBA. And, the only thing, and I'm just curious what your argument for not hiring Jerry is, but, to me, it's, he's the younger type guy, and maybe this was the pick all along, just like Duke hired John Shire. Jerry won a national championship here. He knows what it takes to win, and I think Jerry's a star in the making at the head coaching level, and I just don't want us, it's there for the taking for us, and I just don't want us to lose out on this opportunity just because the whole Red experience has kind of tainted our whole, hiring within the family experience.
Yeah, and listen, Mark, I appreciate your call, and I think the world of Jerry. I do. I think he's a great coach. He's a great person. He's a great human being. You know that I'm friends with him and want to see good things happen for him. My personal opinion is I don't think they're going to give him the job. And that doesn't mean that I don't think he deserves the job. Everything you said and everything you laid out there is 100% true. I just don't think, given the climate of the situation and coming off of what we just saw for the last 3 years, I think it may be a difficult sell to the fan base. It would also be admitting that they were very wrong the first time around if they were to do that. So I tend to think that it's not his time yet. Now, could he come back the next time it's open? Absolutely, because I think he's going to be successful wherever he goes. I think Jerry is a competitor.
The next time
he's a great coach.
That could come open, he could be coaching somewhere else and maybe in an ACC. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly. I mean, if the next coach comes in and does well, then it might be a while. But Jerry's a young guy. If the coach comes in and doesn't do well, then it might be time to go back to Jerry in 3 to 5 years. So I'm with Mark. Like I think he's a great coach. It's remarkable what he's done there. It is fun watching them play. I mean, they play a fun style. And that city is embracing that team and that coaching staff. Do you think
he could be successful here? That's what it boils down to.
I do.
Do you think
I don't think they're going to give him the job.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, they can both be true.
Yeah,
yes, I think he could be successful, and I think he's a hell of a coach. I also don't think
the sole reason they wouldn't give him the job is because of what has happened here.
I think they realize how important this hire is, and I think that they would look at going with Jerry, in my opinion, as being a risky hire. And I don't know if they could take that risk. Like they need to make sure that they get this right.
This is just going back and forth with you, and I agree on everything, but I don't think you could wait for Jerry, and if it does go south again on you, because I think he is that up-and-coming coach that is going to be successful. And, maybe Jerry carves out his own path if he gets turned down again and then just carves out his own path and has a successful career somewhere else.
That could very well happen, and that's the risk of not going with him now. I don't know. My feeling is that they're not going. I'm
just saying sometimes you have to swallow your pride. Like if you truly believe he's going to be a good coach and going to succeed and has this area, knows what this area needs, then you go and pull the trigger. If you think someone else is better in all those aspects that I just mentioned, then that's your guy. But I don't think you have to swallow your pride and say, oh, I didn't do it the first time, this the second time. And I get what you're saying, Steve. I do, but like,
here's the thing.
On a personal level.
I'm not making the decision.
Yeah, either am I. We're just two schmucks on the radio.
I'm not saying that I wouldn't make that decision, or I'm not saying I wouldn't have made that decision the first time around. I'm saying that right now, with the powers that be, and again, this is just my gut feeling. This is not like any inside information. My gut feeling is that they're going to go away from Jerry this time. And it's unfortunate if he's eliminated just because of what happened here, but that may be the case, And so we'll see. I think, my guess is they want someone who is more proven, who's done it for longer. They don't want to take a chance that this is not the right hire, right? And I think that given what they saw with Adrian, that I think they would look at the Jerry move as being risky. As if it doesn't work here, now not only do you reset the clock of when you can get this thing moving back in the right direction, but we've seen what's happened with Red. He was a great player here, a legendary player here, and the way that the fan base has turned on him, you don't want that to happen a second time in a row now, right? And I don't think that would happen with Jerry. I don't know.
You have to hold the risk is here.
I know.
And then the reward could be here too with him. But as you're saying, like, okay, if two fail, two that were in-house in your system, like, where does that leave your fan base if that would happen?
I don't know. I mean, this is all speculation. Bottom line is, I think Jerry's a hell of a coach, and any program that gets him next after Siena is going to be lucky to have him. I just don't know if it's going to be Syracuse. Let's take a timeout. We got to stay on time here. Phone lines are jammed. We appreciate you calling. Please stay on the phone. We're going to take a break. We're back after this on ESPN Radio.
What did Tim say? I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Told you. I knew I knew he wasn't going to be out of there by.
Michael Antonio said, "Can Syracuse afford to miss another tournament?" Sometimes between tomorrow next month.
have you seen some of the numbers coming out with athletic programs and how much they have lost lately?
Say that again?
Like the numbers came out, I don't know if it was a year, like, you know how like Syracuse can release their numbers on coaches, they find it like 2 years after the fact. Last year, whatever, the North Carolina had spent $188 million and only brought in $176 million. Florida State was like tripled that, like as much money as they've lost. But Florida State also has done renovations, and then Penn State was the same. They had lost, but they just redid Beaver Stadium.
All new in-stock vehicles to keep you safe only at 9. Now, if you don't know what invoice pricing is, it's basically the rock bottom for a new car price. There's MSRP.
LA Orange, I think Jerry has proven himself. This isn't, I'm not the one making the hire. So I'm not sure if I'm not explaining myself properly. I think that Jerry's obviously done it. He's taken that program from where they were to where they are now in a short period of time. He's been awesome. I just don't think the administration here is going to go that route again this time around. That is the feeling that I have, my personal opinion. The new guy's Kyle. Kyle, why don't you say hi to everybody? They're saying, who's the new guy?
What's going on? Hey, guys. You guys might recognize me from pre- and post shows.
LA Orange, I mean, you know the English language. Like what's a proven coach? Someone who's done it for 5+ years, maybe? I don't know. Just like, you know, when you apply for a job, there'll be like the requirements of, you know, if you have 2+ years experience in this field, or 10+
master's degree.
Must have a master's degree. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly what the number is. I think they want somebody who's done it maybe in multiple places, who they feel like is not risky.
Someone just called me Little Infante. How does that make you feel, Steve?
How does it make you feel is the question.
I mean, that's fantastic to me. That means I'm a decent-looking and well-spoken individual. So I'll take it. All of my friends call me Little Jim, which is my older brother, which is borderline insulting. So I'll take Little Infante any day.
Good. Yes, but I think I think there's a chance that Jerry ends up here at some point. I think there's probably a good chance that Jerry ends up here at some point. I just don't think he's going to be here next year.
Substantially larger than Steve. Supercat, are you calling me overweight?
And maybe he's calling me short. I don't know. How tall are you?
I'm a clean 6 foot.
Okay, I'm 5'11", so he's got an inch on me.
You were probably 6'1" in the program, though, weren't you?
As a matter of fact, Ithaca,
nice.
I was 6'1".
6'1", 175.
And I didn't tell them to put they did that on their own. All right, Stephen Fonte, Mario Sacco with you up until 2 o'clock today on Orange Nation. Let's get right back to the phone lines at 315-437-7644. Scooter in Jamesville up next. Scooter, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Hey, Steve, I'm with this late sports stuff, I can help you out and get you used to with the boys in Gonzaga. We used to call it happy hour when the game started at 11 o'clock at night, so we get you used to that. And of course, when you watch Gonzaga, you realize that they're playing one of their top stars out. It's been they only might not make it to the tournament, and they just got back their second lead in scores. So we'll see if the tournament committee takes that in consideration.
They almost cost me money. Scooter, the other day. I almost bet on them when they were down against Portland. I looked at Steve and I said, should I take them? And I held off. Thank God I did.
Yeah, well, I tell you, if you go an individual team totals, Gonzaga was goal for the first 12 games of the season.
Yeah.
Now you just bet the under because it's still 90, and you're not coming close to that.
Not even.
Like I said, the leading scorers are hurt. But a couple things. First of all, when Syracuse joined the ACC, I knew the road games are going to be more tougher because we have to go on campus now. Think of all the non-campus sites that Syracuse played on the road, including St. John's, Georgetown. Villanova would have a 30-game winning streak on campus. We never played them on campus. We played them in the sterile environment. You take Connecticut. Half the time we played them, we're in Hartford, Seton Hall, Providence. So I knew coming to the ACC that the record wasn't going to be as good, but I thought it'd be better than what it is right now. And Mario, if you're going to do a six-pack for the Super Bowl, make sure you add Cup. I think he's going to have a big day. His receptions is over 2.5, and you can give him as low as 24 yards receiving. And I think May's going to be running for his life, and his rushing attempts only 6. So keep an eye on that.
I like it, Scooter. I like it. I was looking at Sam Darnold's props the other day.
Yep. 200 yards. You can get him at 200 yards. Yep. I think that's pretty good.
All right, Scooter. As always, appreciate you checking in. And Mario, thank you, Scooter, for calling. And Mario, take all the unders on Stephon Diggs because he's going to be locked in a drawer.
He's going to not even a drawer. He might be 3 houses down.
We have no idea. But take the unders on Stephon Diggs.
Steve, why do you have a big hole in your backyard? JP's been digging for 3 days now.
If there wasn't snow back there, he might be doing that. Let's get one more phone call in this segment. Jordan in Baldwinsville's up next. Jordan, what's going on?
Yeah, I was just listening to the previous segment on Jerry McNamara, and as a fan, I would support Jerry McNamara. I do understand where you're coming from, Steve, because when we went from Boeheim to Red, we all know how that turned out. But I think we should give Jerry a try. I do think we should at least, if the position opens, I think we should at least bring him on. And maybe I'm an outlier, but I'm an SU fan. I went to SU. I think Jerry would be a good fit for the program. So I know where you're coming from, but I would say let's bring Jerry on. Even though he's part of the Syracuse family, maybe the third time's the charm, and maybe this time will be different.
All right, Jordan. Appreciate you checking in.
And I don't think you're in the minority or like an outlier. I think a lot of people would like Jerry to come back and be a head coach. And as you mentioned, like, if he's the best candidate and if you truly think he's the best candidate and you went out and looked and did a national search and he's your best candidate, then bring him in. I don't care if it didn't work out the first time with Red. If you think Jerry can succeed here, then you pull the trigger. If you don't think he can succeed here and you still think he needs to prove himself, then you don't pull the trigger.
Yeah, I mean,
my point is, like, if you wait, I don't think he's going to be around that next cycle, is the point I'm getting at.
I don't know about that. I think that Syracuse is still a job that is coveted, and it would especially be coveted by him.
It's still coveted right now. Another 5 more years of losing, how much more coveted is it going to be?
But for him, I think this place will always be coveted. And
you got me there. And you got me there.
And think what better way to, you won a championship as a player, you went to a Final Fours as an assistant, and now what better story to kind of, come full circle and now lead that program back to prominence? I don't know. I think that would be hard to pass up. And, Hop's name keeps popping up as well.
I could my feelings on Hop.
I could see Hop, wanting to do the same thing, wanting to come back and get the shot that he wanted the first time around and leading this program back to prominence. So, whether I do think Jerry's going to be successful.
I'm going to put you on the I'm going to put it out there. If it was between Hop and Jerry.
Oh, I can't pick between them. You asked me to pick between them?
You're asking you to pick between them.
I don't. I mean, I think they're both great coaches. They're at different stages.
That's my point. That at different stages of a career, like I adore Hop and Jerry. I would lean more toward Jerry for the fact that the next 20 years, hopefully, would be with Jerry.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to pick between them.
I guess I just did it for you. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean I think they're both very good coaches. I don't know if the administration is going to go down that road this time around. That's all. I mean I don't know how to be any more clear than that. I think they're both great, and I think they would both do a good job here. Period. End of story. But I don't know if the administration is going to go down that path this time around. Let's take a time out. We'll get to the market. We'll wrap up hour number 1 next on ESPN Radio.
Yeah, I mean,
all the coverage of his team is replacing at this point.
it's kind of hard to break down X's and O's when you're 13-10 and 4-6 in league play. So, I mean, as much as we can say, it's a big game for them against UVA. Like, until you win more than 2 games in a row, now it doesn't matter.
Yeah, at this point for pre and post shows, I just try and avoid the big picture.
I mean, literally, they're going to be playing on the first day of the ACC tournament. Because do you see them picking up more than 3 wins the rest of the way?
No. I think best case scenario is exactly 3 at this point.
So, I mean, that's going to put you right around anywhere between 11 and 12 in the conference.
The sad part is all of their games from here on out are absolutely losable, and there's only one that I'm confident they're like totally going to win, and that's Pitt. Every other game they play is quad 2 or quad 1. Most of them are quad 1.
Yeah. A lot of quad 1 coming.
Gio's doing good. I actually was just texting him this morning. I feel bad for the kid, though. Gets a job in Texas just for there to be snow.
I know.
That's got to suck.
Certified used at Burdick Toyota. Choose a Toyota certified used Corolla, Camry, RAV4, Highlander, or Tacoma.
What if they find a way to lose the Pitt game? I don't know. It wouldn't really feel any different from the Boston College loss or the Hofstra loss. It would just perpetuate the disappointment in this program.
You said there was a local tie on St. Joe's?
I thought it was their coach. I'm looking right now. I guess I'm a little late. That's not basketball. It's not what I wanted. Holy pop-ups. You're taking care of this one.
Stephen Mario back with you here on Orange Nation. Let's get a quick check on the market before we move on to hour number 2. We've got Mike from Lee Baldwin and Company joining us. Mike, how you doing today? How's the market doing today?
A lot better today, guys.
Good.
It's been a tough couple weeks, but the Dow's up over 1,000 points, so big up day, getting a big bounce off the weakness we saw earlier in the week, so let's hope we can hold on this afternoon. There's plenty of diamonds out there. I'm not even going to give one, but there's big gains in technology. Bitcoin's back up. Metals are back up, gold, silver, et cetera. So basically everything I hammered the last couple of days is up today. The one exception of the big technology stocks, Amazon's going to be our dog. They reported earnings last night. They're actually pretty good, but they had announced they're going to spend about $200 billion this year on capital expenditures, investing in the company in the future, which is a huge number. So the stock's trading down about $12 to $2.11 a share, but it's been a really good stock, and the news looks pretty good going forward for them. So overall, a great day and a good way to close out the week, guys.
I love it. I love hearing the news. A great day. Thank you, Mike, for checking in. Lee Baldwin, all the diamonds, none of the dogs. Be sure to visit leebaldwin.com. All right, we got to take a quick time out here. We want to stay on time, so we're going to hit the top of the hour. We're going to drive into our second hour next, brought to you by Burdick BMW of Cicero. Eric Devendorf joins us on the other side. We are back after this on ESPN Radio.
It's still on the Orange Nation bump.
Hit pause.
It was still on the Orange Nation bump, and it's not switching.
Hit play on the Orange Nation. There you go.
But we just went off air.
Oh, you went off air. Hit start on. Hit start on the promo 30. So,
Oh.
Yeah. And then fade out the phone. Or
Okay.
All right. How's everyone doing?
Came in right at the right time. I have no idea what happened.
It probably was because we got two things at once. It probably it's probably because like I usually when the bump ends I just take it out of the log then, if that makes sense. Like I'll.
So there's log stuff that I should probably still do.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. This was kind of throwing you to the fire today, where you're.
It is what it is. I tried my best.
Hopefully you're. Hopefully
you did
it was
good.
all
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
I'm
guys.
sure you did fine.
Thanks,
So,
Kyle. I'll hang out with David.
Yeah, thanks.
Kid from CBA kid play a lot for St. Joe's, do you know? Papa?
I don't even know. What position?
Attack.
I don't think I've seen his name and the stuff that I've been doing to this point.
I just didn't their old coach, didn't he have ties to the area? They have a new head coach.
Yeah, and obviously their new coach has. You read that? He's from Pebble Hill.
He is.
Yeah. Meehan.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he grew up like a Syracuse fan. Played for Manlius Pebble Hill.
They had a lax team. MPH had a lax
it's
team?
now defunct. Yeah, he had like 60 kids in his grade, and they.
Who are we talking about?
Scott Meehan is the coach for St. Joe's.
I was like, but didn't their previous coach too have a tie to here?
I think so. Yeah, I can't remember.
I feel like
he's
he was
now the Penn coach.
Yeah.
So we're gonna see him later. Rye. I think you're right. Yeah, he's talked about Syracuse.com did an article on him. And he was like at the 09 and 08 national championship rooting for Syracuse. He said the last time
he's been at St. Joe's for a while.
Yes, and he just got bumped up. Yeah. What I missed in the show?
Taking a lot of calls.
A lot of Jerry talk.
Yeah. Alphabet guys wants to know my thoughts on GMAC.
I mean, I think he's a great coach. I just don't know that they're going to hire him this
Yeah.
time around. There's been some debate about that.
I think it's tough to put him ahead of Hop if you're looking in-house, but maybe I just like Hop more than
the point
most.
I was trying to make was he just, if it comes down to if you think he's the best candidate, you're going to have to swallow your pride about, what happened with Red. And
yeah.
But if you don't think he's the best candidate, then
I think he should definitely be considered. I mean,
Of course.
yeah.
Of course. Yeah, no, I think, of course, he's going to be
I
considered.
did laugh a little bit. Some of the people on Twitter were then pointing out yesterday that Field of 68 puts Sienna as the top job.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so now resources do matter when it fits that narrative,
Exactly.
right? Like, we're bringing resources into the conversation and getting shot down completely when it comes to Red. But
Do I have to silence you two? You and Jim? My phone keeps lighting up. That's what I do when you and Maddie go back and forth like 1,000 times.
You're texting when you're a foot away from him?
No, our old news director is messaging us, and there's a running joke of anytime Kevin Roy is like playing well, or Stuart Friesen's like leading in the Truck Series, he'll text us like, hey, he's leading her, and then all right away like Friesen crashes or Roy like bogeys a hole. So
He's a jinx. He's a jinx.
That was the text of
these headphones, Kyle. Yeah, must be. You guys taped the Orange Nation overtime before?
We did, yeah.
Okay, nice. Oh, shoot. Let's bump this.
This is Orange Nation.
We are driving into our second hour. It's brought to you by Burdick BMW of Cicero. Stephen Fonte, Mario Sacco with you today up until 2 o'clock with Paulie on his way down to Charlottesville, Virginia. And with that in mind, we kick off the second hour by going to our guest line, bring on our good friend Eric Devendorf to talk some Cuse basketball. Devo, always great to have you on. How you doing today?
What's up, guys? I appreciate you having me.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. Let's start with just kind of the state of this particular team right now, and we can get into the program at large as this moves along. But we saw this team win 3 games in a row after the Clemson loss, 3-1 in conference play. They go to BC. We all kind of just chalked that one up to a win. They lost in overtime, and they have not been the same since. What is the biggest issue in your mind with this team, especially over the course of these last 6 games?
Well, I just think the energy and effort is inconsistent on both ends of the floor. That North Carolina game, if they could play like they played the last 5 minutes with the urgency and energy and effort, and put that into the 40 minutes, I mean, they'll be a heck of a team. We talk about the talent and ability, but competing for 40 minutes is huge, and they haven't been able to do it. It's been inconsistent offensively. It's been ISO. It's been a lot of hard shots. When you don't have any ball moving in the half court, every shot is going to be hard. And, yeah, you're going to make some, but you can't sustain, through a game and through a season like that. So it's basically having to play with more urgency, more energy and effort, and being consistent in doing those things. And they haven't been. When the games that they've won, they're able to get out in transition and limit the possessions that they have to play in half court. They rebounded the ball defensively. They're flying around. And then in the losses, we haven't seen that, stagnant rotations where they're slow on the weak side help. So, I mean, it just comes down to competing at a high level every single game for 40 minutes, and, they haven't been able to do that.
Devo, I just most recently listened to an interview with Gino Auriemma, him talking about if it's not happening in practice, it's not going to translate to games. Like, you can't expect us to be playing at this level and come the national championship time, if we're not competing at that level in practice. Is it starting there, do you think, Eric?
Well, absolutely. And I'm not in the practices, so I really can't say much to that. But absolutely. I mean, whatever you're practicing, how hard you're going in practice, those are the habits that you're forming. So if you're just going half speed in practice and just going through the motions, that's what's going to show up in the game. It's hard to just, have that on switch, off switch, and if you're not consistently giving that effort, in practice and in the games, and that's why you see the inconsistencies. So, like I said, I'm not in practice. I don't see what's going on. But hopefully they are, competing at a high level in practice. But right now we're just not seeing that, translate to the game.
How about for you after a loss or a tough stretch during your career? Like, what were those practices like, with your teammates and trying to snap out of something like this?
Well, I tell you, I said it on the podcast the other week. We'd have 2 to 3 fights in practice, every single week, just because we're competing at such a high level. And, the mentality that myself and my teammates had, Johnny Flynn, Paul Harris, and all those guys, they were going out there competing at a high level. If it was pick up, one-on-one, practice, game, whatever it is, that's just the mindset that the team had and that those guys have. So, and we love to play. We really enjoyed playing. And I think that's where it starts. When you have a passion for anything, you're going to give it everything that you got. So I'm not saying that these guys don't love the game, but they have to figure out, if they want to compete, 40 minutes throughout and give themselves a chance.
We saw Donnie taken out of the starting lineup for one game, then reinserted for the North Carolina game. And we heard Red say, listen, everything's on the table right now. With that being said, when you hear everything's on the table, they're looking at everything. Is there a change, whether it's a lineup change, whether it's a strategic change? Is there anything that you would do if you were the head coach right now and say, hey, let's try this because I think it could work?
I mean, they've tried a lot. I wouldn't have, took my best player out of the starting lineup. But again, I'm not in practices. I'm not in the coaches' meeting, so I don't know what they're discussing. But the biggest thing is, like, when these guys go out there, they just have to give everything they got. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about, Steve, it's redundant. It's the same thing. These last 4 losses or whatever it's been the same thing over and over. Like the effort and energy offensively has been stagnant. Defensively, they've been slow to rotate. And that all goes back to just competing at a high level. So there's not really, much else you can do. You can make all the changes you want, strategic wise, but if you're not competing at a high level and giving everything you got, it's not going to work out for you. So these guys got to figure out, hey, are we going to give everything we got when we step on the court for 40 minutes? Because if not, you're going to keep trending this way that they're trending.
We heard Matt Park say yesterday, North Carolina was just better. You're going to be playing the likes of Louisville. You got Virginia coming down the stretch here, Duke. Where is that talent gap between Syracuse and these other ACC teams right now? And how do you fix that, Eric? Or is it a talent gap, or is it just them, as you said, not giving effort for a full 40 minutes?
Yeah, look, I've said it, since the beginning of the year. Like, if you look on paper and put these guys against other teams, like talent and ability-wise, they're right there. I mean, even with North Carolina, they're not far off. Like, if you look at the matchups, Donnie and JJ, William Kyle, Nate Kings, all these guys they're not like far off from whoever they're going against, So I don't think it's like a talent issue or an ability issue at all. It's an effort and energy issue, and you can't be inconsistent like that. And when you are, this is where they're going to be at. So again, it's like, I don't want to make it more complicated because it's not. It's about going out there and competing at a high level, playing with a sense of urgency, especially now, right? If the window's not shut, it's dang near shut on the NCAA tournament. So the urgency, the effort, the energy, it just has to go to another level. If not, we're going to be talking about the same thing and figuring out, hey, what else can we talk about? Because it's been redundant.
All right, let's talk big picture stuff, Eric, if we could. And we know what the mandate was coming into the season from John Wildhack. It was play meaningful games in March, and it, that is not happening and likely will not happen this year. And so if that's the case, we know what he has said, right, that was the expectation. So I know, being a former player, I'm sure you're rooting for Red. But let's put Red aside here for a moment and say that they do make a change in the offseason. Some names have popped up, obviously, in connection with what could be an opening here. Mike Hopkins, Jerry McNamara in particular, because they're guys with local ties, and we can get to the other candidates as well. But when you hear those names pop up, do you think they will go down? Do you think the administration will go down that path with one of those two guys? And what would your thoughts be? Let's start with Hop, I guess, in terms of, do you think you'd be interested? Do you think there's a chance he would come back?
Well, I mean, they're probably going to take a look at both those guys and obviously a lot more. But whoever that they do bring in, they have to have the NIL backing. Obviously, you have to be able to have the NIL now in this era to be able to get players. It's not so much about recruiting. So, like, when people say, hey, we got to get a coach right away, recruit, I'm not really, on the same page with that. I think if they have the money and they go in the portal, they'll be able to get the guys. Obviously you want to have the connections, but the coaches who they're going after have that. But those two guys that you mentioned, Hop and GMAC, those are great candidates. I think they'll have the backing, they'll have the support, and then they know the game. All right. And the biggest thing is you have to, whatever you're teaching, whatever you're trying to get through these guys, it has to be able to get through, because whatever's being taught right now or being said, it just seems like it's not getting through to those guys. They're not motivated. They're not inspired to go out there and play at a high level. So, whoever the next coach is or whatever happens at the end of the year, you got to have a guy in who's highly motivated, who can inspire these guys, and you want the players to have your back as a coach. You want them to be able to lock in and really take to what you're saying. So whoever they have come in, they have to have a guy who can really engage the team and get their attention. Now, when that happens, now they're really soaking in what he's teaching and what he's saying, and they can go out there and perform on the court. But having the NIL backing, and then obviously you want a great support staff. You want guys who, whatever your weakness is, you could kind of fill in for that by bringing those type of guys in and having them around you.
You've seen the success that Jerry's had at Siena in a short period of time, and the question was, how is he going to be as a head coach? When you're looking at Jerry as a head coach right now, what do you see?
Oh, he's doing great. Look, I've known GMAC, since 2005. I played with him. I know what type of motor he has. I know what type of passion he has, leadership skills. And then I was on staff with him. So I heard him, go through the X and O's, doing the scouts, talking to the guys, working out the guys. I mean, I knew he was a head coach before he was a head coach. He knows where to put guys in positions to have success. But the biggest thing at this level, look, everybody can really play. Like, yes, you're going to do the X's and O's and stuff like that, but these guys are at this level for a reason. They know how to play when they go out there. They're smart basketball players in most cases, right? You just got to be able to motivate these guys and inspire these guys to go out and play hard every single time. When you lose, when you have challenges, when guys aren't having good games, you got to be a coach who could find ways to push those buttons on those guys and get them locked back in. And I think GMAC has those traits. I think he showed it when he was assistant at Syracuse, and I think he showed it in the few years at Siena. And look, he took over that Siena job. They only had 3 wins the previous season, so obviously he doubled that in his first year. And then right now I think they're on a 6-game winning streak. I think they just beat Iona last night on ESPN.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, GMAC's been doing great, man. And then he's doing it with not a lot of NIL money. Obviously, it's a different level at Siena, but I think GMAC has been doing a great job. I mean, he'd be a great candidate for any job.
And then, the other portion of this conversation is there is a faction of the fan base that says, well, it's got to be, somebody outside the family. You being an alum and being around the program and now, covering the program with your role calling games. How would you feel about if this was a hire outside the family?
It doesn't matter alum or not. You just want to get the right guy in here. You want to get a guy who wants to represent Syracuse, the tradition, the history, top 10 program of all time, so it's a unbelievable job to have. Anybody who would have an opportunity to come here and coach should be excited about it, right? So I don't care if it's an alum or a guy outside of the program. You just got to get the right guy who wants to be here and who brings the NIL that we talked about and has those traits where he can motivate and inspire guys to really, really play hard. Like I had coaches throughout my whole life who, I'd run through a brick wall for those guys because, the words that they said or they motivated me, inspired me to really go out there and give everything I have. And that's what you want as a coach. Again, the X's and O's, you want to have a guy who can break it down during timeouts or out of bounds plays, whatever it is. But you want a guy who can motivate guys to go out there and play as hard as they can. Like guys who can lift guys who really may not be super talented. But I think about a guy like Brad Barnell. Like he's doing something right at Clemson, right? He has these guys who won't be considered 3, 4-star, 5-star recruits, and he's got these guys the second best team in the ACC, and he's done that throughout his whole career. So he found something to where he's talking to these guys, he's motivating and inspiring these guys to where he's getting them to play above really what they are, and that's what type of guy that you want to have in your program.
You're calling games on the ACC network and others and helping out. And I asked Steve, where would you rate Syracuse tier-wise as a program right now? Like, what is the word that you're getting back of where this program has been over this last decade?
As far as what?
As far as how much they've fallen off, or do you see it still as a top 25 program on the outset of what it used to be? Does it still have that aurora around it, so to say?
As far as for a coach to come in?
Not even a coach, just as a program is this program still a top tier program on the outside looking in?
Well, I mean, obviously not. They haven't been ranked in the top 25 and I don't know how long, and we haven't made the tournament in what is it, 5 years or something like that. So no, you can't say they are. But if you're looking for the outside in as far as a coach, I definitely want to be here. It's a top 5, top 10 job in college basketball. And it doesn't take a lot to get this program back on track. It's just, again, having the right guy who wants to be there, who surrounds himself with a great support staff and brings in the right players. Like, you could bring in the wrong players. They could be really talented, but they could come here because, hey, they're paying me a lot of money and I just want to get my shine on it and then, go off to the NBA or transfer to another school. You need guys who want to be here because they want to be at Syracuse, they want to represent Syracuse, and they want to win at Syracuse. When you have those guys, high character guys, you're better as a team overall. It's different recruiting now. It's not necessarily the best player is going to be the best fit for your team. So when you're recruiting in the portal or whatever you're doing, you have to look at all those characteristics. Hey, does he fit with this guy? Is he a good teammate? Is he going to continue to play hard when things aren't going well or when you have challenges out there? So it's a lot of stuff that goes into looking at players. It's not just like, hey, is he a really good player? You want him to have all those other characteristics of a high character guy.
Last one, Devo, as we let you go here and we come full circle back to this game tomorrow. You've seen Virginia play. You've obviously seen Syracuse play a lot. Lay out a blueprint for us of how this is, a close game in the final 5 minutes tomorrow.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not the Virginia team that we were used to seeing. They want to get up and play fast, and they got some good freshmen. The freshman, he's 24, I think, though, so he's not really a freshman. But they got guys who could score inside. They got guards who could, drive the ball and make perimeter shots. But again, man, Syracuse has the guys. They have the ability to compete and stay in the game with anyone. It's just what team is going to show up? How hard are you going to compete? Offensively, you want to get some movement in the half court. But ideally, if you can get it and run and get ahead of the defense, we got the guys to really do that. They excel. JJ is one of the best at getting out on the open floor and putting his head down and getting downhill, and then you could space the floor and get your shooters in space and get them some open looks. And then defensively, man, just fly around, communicate, talk, bring that urgency back into we're the first 3-4 games against when you play Binghamton and those other teams. Where is that intensity at? It starts with that. X and O's, whatever you want to say. Those guys got to bring energy and effort to the court and compete at a high level. When they do that, they're going to be in every single game.
Great stuff as always, Eric. We appreciate the insight. Thanks so much for coming on. We appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
All
Thanks,
right,
Devo.
Eric Devendorf joining us here on the program. We'll take a time out. We've got Tim Leonard here in studio. We'll get to today's business. We'll talk men's lacrosse. We'll talk women's basketball with Tim. It's all on the way. Back after this on ESPN Radio.
I think his daughter just broke a school record or a section record in long jump.
Devo's daughter?
Yeah.
Nice.
At Liverpool.
She play basketball?
No, she does indoor track and field.
I almost said, is there anything you don't want us to quote you on, but then we will quote you on it?
Wow. Yeah. I'm putting it together, yeah. We're going to talk, someone had a question about can they keep it close with Louisville. We'll get to that on the air. I hope so. I think they can. Can they beat Louisville? That's what Ora Johanna said. It's going to be tough, but they've been playing well.
Don't quote me on this.
Did Paulie pop in on the show at all, or was he's already on his way? Right?
No, Paulie, no. This
He's worried about his
priority
other job.
for him.
Yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
No, this show's not a priority.
I like how he's like, another podcast.
Yeah.
I almost, when he said that, I almost said something, but I was like, nah, it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
Paulie would have said something.
He would have.
This is like we always say, Paulie can get away with stuff, but
Yeah,
we can't.
That's true.
I couldn't have went down.
That's true.
Same as him.
That's true.
He went to MPH. His family must have had some money, huh?
Yeah, I mean lacrosse too. It's probably a good bet.
Like,
yeah. They don't even have a program anymore. And I guess he played D3 at Washington and Lee, yeah. And he had offers, but which if you had offers playing for MPH, then you're pretty dang good. Like I'm surprised he didn't go to a different school in the area, but
it's like CBA, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Although at that time, CBA's program isn't that old. Like,
promise Paulie is not with Matt eating lunch because I'm sure Matt is flying right now and Paulie is driving. And I'm sure Matt does not want to eat lunch with Paulie also.
what time did you get back?
Whatever. I got to my house at like 11. Wasn't that bad because the game flew and 6 p.m. start. So that's our first
6 p.m. start worked in your favor.
Yeah, that's our first weeknight road game really that I can remember. Definitely an ACC play.
I feel they've been playing at home and I just can't get up.
So I haven't really missed the show much to this, and now I'm going to be away like 3 of the next 4 Wednesdays and Thursdays, counting this week, I guess. Someone said miles per hour. We were talking about MPH.
Do you think they can get
Manly's Pebble Hill?
Yeah.
5,000 there on Sunday?
That's what Coach Jack said to me. She was like, "I hope we get 5,000, but maybe that'd be nice."
That would be nice.
Yeah,
They
should. Obviously,
I was having this conversation with
Just
my
saying
son.
at least like the lower one side is filled is what I was getting at.
That would be nice.
My guess is if you're asking me to give like an over under, like 3,700, but that's not what I think should be the crowd. Like, obviously, I think it helps that it is well ahead of the Super Bowl. Like no one's worried about. I mean, at least even if you're going over to someone's house, like a lot of people for the Super Bowl, you can get there. Game will be over at 2.
Well, JP's not free.
Yeah,
he's got to find a place
gotta
to
find a place.
bury Stephon. You missed the beginning of the show. My son has these little figurines. It's a Sean McDermott, it's a Josh Allen, and Stephon Diggs, all in Bills uniforms.
Oh yeah, he's got to get rid of those.
So he has this thing where every time they play a game, he has the figurines watch.
Mm-hmm.
Long story short, I told him that he had to bury Stephon Diggs. So I was like, you have to find a place where Stephon Diggs can't watch the Super Bowl. So he's
he's got a lot to do.
He's getting like really focused about it.
We got a Seahawks
QSportsTalk.com. This is Orange Nation.
All right, Stephen Fonte, Mario Sacco with you up until 2 o'clock. Tim Leonard is here in studio with us. Before we get to Tim and today's business, let's bring on Tony in Syracuse. Tony, what's going on?
Hey guys, I just wanted to jump in. I didn't realize Paulie was gone, but Tim, I didn't realize you're a Seattle fan.
No, I'm a Patriots fan, actually. Yeah, complete opposite for this game. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
You can boo him if you want.
Right.
Well, listen, I'm a Dolphin fan. So after what I heard the other day, Mario, how about you?
I'm a Steelers fan. I grew up in Western PA, so if I wasn't anything else, I would be shunned.
All right, so you can pass this along to Paulie. So the thing that if the Patriots win, then they will have the all-time most Super Bowl wins. Right now, they're currently tied with the Steelers with 6. So there's an extra bit of thing to make sure the Patriots don't win the Super Bowl.
Yes, I will be rooting against him. Paulie says that if his team's not in it, he doesn't root for a team. I don't know how he watches.
I don't want the Patriots to win.
I don't know how he consumes sports like that. Like, I feel like if I'm watching like a random game, like I feel like I want to root for one side or the other. Anyway, go ahead, Tony.
So if we get a chance and somebody can reach out to him, now knowing the fact that if you're a Steelers fan and you know that if New England wins the Super Bowl, that they are going to top you in the overall Super Bowl.
He's probably going to come back with they already got 6, so it doesn't matter.
I guarantee you, Tony, he's not going to care because that's Paulie. He just
real quick, and I'll let you go, but I always go back to the well, especially when the Super Bowl is over with and we start talking about past history, and I just say, well, the Dolphins are the only ones who go undefeated and have a Super Bowl. So that's true. The only thing I get to go back to, and I think that was 5 when they did that. So, all right, guys, have a great week and enjoy. I was going to throw in maybe we should have Tusi become the new head coach, but I don't think anybody would find that to be funny.
Oh, no, I don't think Tusi would find that funny either. I don't think Tusi is ever stepping foot in Syracuse ever again.
He might be a song made about it, but it won't be.
I think they burned that bridge. Not that it matters, but I don't think Tusi is.
Was that a lyrical reference there too? Burn that bridge.
No. I think that's giving him too much credit. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know anything Tusi sings. Are you kidding me? No.
It's like Geno Thorpe. It's just going to be such an interesting era when we're 10 years from now and we're like, remember that Tusi thing, you know? What a weird time. Fran Brown got in a debate with a rapper about playing here. It's going to sound more crazy the more time passes.
You had to be there. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Tim Leonard is back. Welcome back, Tim.
Thank you. Yes, I'm glad that you guys were able to hold it down without me for the most part. Shout out to Kyle. I feel like we put him in a tough spot, but, you know, sometimes you got to put people into the fire and they grow from it, and Kyle's a good one. We're happy to have him. Today's business is brought to you by Superior Plus Propane. I was going to ask you guys for your Super Bowl pick, and now you're just going to take the opportunity clearly to bash my team, which I guess I'll allow that to happen because a lot of the Central New York audience probably wants it to happen. Did you guys have any opinion at all on Matt Stafford winning the MVP?
Loved it.
Yeah, I figured.
Loved
Steve,
it. Yeah. As for the game, I'm not bashing the Patriots. They had a great year, and you have to you have to respect what they've done. I want them to lose. I do think Seattle is the better team. I will say that going in. I said this on the show yesterday. I was a little surprised that the line only opened at 3.5. I think it's up to 4.5 now. I think Seattle's better, but I think the Patriots are certainly capable. And you know, I'm hoping that we see a good game. I hope we see Seattle win a close game, but I hope it is at least a close game.
Do you think anything with a first-year head coach, kind of the nerves in that situation in that game might pop up?
Sure. You know, we said this yesterday in the show, like
that's when you talked about the line and that you know 3. I thought they would be at least a touchdown favorite, but that's what makes me think like, is this a game where I'm sorry I pounded on the table again? Is this a game where New England is gonna pull it out by a field goal at the end? I just have that feeling of I don't want it to happen, but I have that feeling.
I think it's the biggest game on the planet in any sport, maybe aside from like the World Cup final, right? And you don't know how guys are going to react. So whether you're a first-year head coach or a 7th-year wide receiver, or it's the biggest game of your life. And you don't know how guys are going to react. So I do think it's difficult to predict from that standpoint. I think Seattle's better, but the better team doesn't always win.
Yeah, what I would say about the line is maybe this is just me being sort of guarded because I don't want to go in too optimistic about my team, and that's naturally what fans do. I don't think there's any chance the Patriots blow out the Seahawks on Sunday. I think there's a chance Seattle blows out the Patriots. So I think they have to bake that into the line a little bit. There's also just been a lot of whispers and rumors about Drake May and how hurt is his shoulder, and I think that's contributing to the line a little bit. And, it's tough to evaluate Drake May in the playoffs because he has played a lot of good defenses and he's been playing in terrible conditions. Like the Denver game was a straight up blizzard in the second half. And it seems like he has been bothered by a shoulder issue. So that's the biggest question mark. Is Drake May going to come out and throw it around like he was in the regular season? Or is he actually just being bothered by the pressure of the playoffs and we're going to see him really struggle in his first Super Bowl?
Do you think you can rely on your running game enough against
Probably
Seattle?
Not. I mean, enough is... I think Seattle's defense is good, that's the tough thing. Seattle's pass rush is really good, too.
If New England's to win this football game, what do you think the score has to be?
Low scoring, and I just think it has to be like Drake May proves that he plays more like he was in the regular season, and it was more weather.
He's going to have to come up with couple of big-time throws.
And the Patriots could use like a pick six or a punt return. They've got a great punt returner, Marcus Jones, so maybe some of that stuff as well. Let's go to Dom in North Carolina for more Today's Business.
What's up?
Hey, guys. How you all doing? Thank you for taking my call.
Good. How are you doing?
Good. So I don't want to disrespect Red by using his name, so I'm going to pretend this is a nameless, faceless Syracuse coach. But if I was the AD and I didn't think that the coach that I had hired was the man moving forward, no matter how many games he won, even if he won the tournament, an ACC tournament, if they make that first game, if they play that first day, I would be letting him go before the tournament starts, because if he, for some reason, like NC State, was it 2 or 3 years ago, wins the ACC tournament, I'm stuck with him for a year if I don't think he's the guy moving forward. Now, and here's the other thing. If you're okay with it, if he wins the ACC tournament and you want to keep him, then why wouldn't you keep him if he didn't win the ACC tournament? So that's where I am for any coach. If you know he's not the guy moving forward, why even give him a chance to win the thing? And I just think that it's kind of disrespectful to give him hope. If you win this thing, I'm going to keep you. Well, then why wouldn't you keep me if I didn't win the thing?
We saw that
I can do a better job next year.
We saw that with Long Beach State a couple years ago, where they fired the coach Dan Munson, and then they went and won the conference tournament. They still ended up letting him go afterwards, but we did see that just a couple years ago. Kevin Keats was a good example as well. That
Patrick Ewing kind of did that too.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So I think there is certainly a strong possibility.
Passner got another year after Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
All right, Dom, as always, appreciate you checking in. Anything else from Today's Business, Tim? Because we want to talk lacrosse and we want to talk women's basketball with you on the other side of the break. Anything else for Today's Business?
I just would like to acknowledge that I don't understand how Lindsey Vonn is doing this.
Did you watch the video of her today, train her runs?
Like, she tore her ACL and she's just going to be in the Olympics competing as if it's nothing. And I don't know, maybe it is getting talked about enough because it's all over my Twitter feed, but I feel like it's almost not getting talked about enough. It's incredible.
Did you ever tear anything in your knee or ankle?
I've never had a torn ACL, no. I tore ligaments in my ankle, but that was, the rehab for that wasn't nearly what it was for, what it would have been for a knee, but no.
Yeah. Also, I would like to say, too, that I think her and Tiger were truly soulmates based on this ACL thing. They were dating, now they're not, obviously, but I don't know. Just the ability to come back from an ACL like that is remarkable. So I'll be watching and rooting for Lindsey Vonn. But we can get to women's basketball, men's lacrosse on the other side.
All right, let's do that. We'll take a timeout. We'll get Tim's expertise on this men's lacrosse team, the women's basketball team, back after this on ESPN Radio.
This is...
The women play at 5 tonight, the lacrosse?
Yes.
At 5?
Yeah, Maryland.
I just sent you the script, Mario.
Okay.
That's why it took so long, because Gary ran into Kathy as they were coming into the dome as they wrapped up practice. Need to chat her up.
SU men practice at the dome?
Yeah. Finally. They did not practice at the dome once before the first game.
I was like, they can't hit the broadside of a barn in the first half right now.
Yeah.
Might have something to do with shooting in the dome. You see how, obviously, how Lemoyne lost last night?
Trey Deer is moving around. I saw him at practice. I mean, I don't know exactly what the injury is and stuff, but he's not going to play this year. But hopefully seems like he's in as good a spirits as you can be. He's around the team, which is good. Are you guys saying that's not that impressive that she's doing this with the torn ACL? Maybe there's like varying degrees of how serious the torn ACL is that I'm not aware of, but
I've never heard of that.
Yeah. I don't think.
I mean, obviously they could be worse, but like I think it's still if you've torn it, it's still a bad injury.
Yeah.
Okay.
I suppose it could be a partial tear, maybe.
I don't know. I thought I saw it was like completely ruptured.
Yeah. Well, if that's
someone
the
used
case,
that,
I just don't know. I don't know how she's doing it.
Don't think we'll be showing the Lemoyne men's lacrosse highlights today.
Why? Because it's so far away.
Some ant scored a goal.
Yeah, Peyton Anderson's going to be a star. I agree. Bo Kahn, I think, is going to be a star too.
Looks like Gettysburg got hammered with snow too. They just shoveled it off the turf. Getting taken to the down 5-2.
It's impressive, but is it Infante Mono game level impressive?
It's a great question, Big Poppy. That is a great question. I mean, I can't comment on that. You guys will have to take it from there.
Right.
You know.
MJ, Infante,
I'll let you guys.
Lindsey Vaughn, the tears like here. And then
I'll let you guys debate it.
That might be true about skiing. You don't need the ACL as much, but it's still a torn ACL, and she's still competing. I'm still wowed by it.
Cutting. Like, what do you mean you don't need?
I don't know. I'm not going to
flying through the air and then
cutting. I'm not a skier, but at the same time, this is still ridiculous. Theo says, Mario, you are cutting, but your legs are usually in bent position, which helps with stability from lateral movements.
But still, wouldn't you feel
Dr.
that,
Todd
like,
Battaglia.
wouldn't you feel it on your knees? Like,
I would imagine.
I don't know. I've never ski raced. I've skied. I've never.
Is this what ChatGPT said? Hey, down here. Dr. Tad. Miss Dr. Tad.
Yeah, why did they stop coming on?
I don't know. I mean, I never really inquired, but that was a fun segment. I enjoyed those. Do we figure out what we're doing for the splash car wash yet?
Oh, what's that?
The thing that Tammy wants us to do, like...
Paulie mentioned it like 10 times yesterday, like on the air. So I think we're good today.
That's a joke.
ESPN 97.7 and 100.1. Watch live on QSportsTalk.com.
This is Orange Nation.
All right, Stephen Fonte, Mario Sacco, Tim Leonard with you up until 2 o'clock. Tim is back from calling the women's game yesterday inside the Conti Forum, Syracuse Boston College, and we'll be on the call this weekend for a men's lacrosse game tomorrow at noon, and then a women's basketball game on Sunday. I guess why don't we start with let's start with men's lacrosse. And you know, this team is coming off a game against Boston University in which it wasn't the cleanest of performances, right? They had a lot of turnovers, a handful of failed clears, but they still beat a top 20 opponent by 7. What were your takeaways from that one, and what do you hope they improve upon going into tomorrow?
Well, I think the biggest thing to point out is how can you clear the ball a little bit better, because they're going to face another 10-man ride here against St. Joe's, and it's a different style of 10-man ride. Just was chatting with Gary Gate a little bit about how they're not going to even attempt shooting against this team, like the way that Billy Juan was trying the full field shots last game. They can't really do it against this St. Joe's team. St. Joe's was literally the best team in the country last year at forcing turnovers in the riding game, and number 1 at opponent clear percentage. They were 6th in the nation in turnovers forced, period. So they want to clean that up. They've worked on it a ton in practice, as they always do when they know that they're going against a team with a 10-man ride. And after this game, you're probably not going to see a 10-man ride again until Colgate. So it's a fascinating thing that they're seeing back-to-back teams, limited game film on them as well. I mean, obviously they didn't have game film on BU. St. Joe's had their first game of the year canceled. It's a new head coach, Scott Meehan, who was kind of known for implementing the 10-man ride for St. Joe's as their top assistant the last 7 years there. So we would imagine he's not going to deviate from that, but it's still, they got to prepare for St. Joe's 10-man ride, their best guess at it, and then also be ready to adjust if there's different wrinkles to it. And I think that's the most important storyline of the game. I will say that a lot of the other areas in terms of getting possessions, I think Syracuse will be very good in. I mean, in terms of face-offs, I feel like they're going to dominate in that category tomorrow, knowing that St. Joe's top face-off guy returning from last year was 45%. It seems like the Hawks are going to deploy, like they're calling a three-headed monster. They're going to try and throw out some different guys at John Mullen, but Mullen should win a bulk of the face-offs tomorrow, and Syracuse just has to be a little bit smarter with the ball in terms of avoiding the sloppy turnovers, clearing. But I think they will be, because they got experience against it last week, and they've gotten a full week to prepare in the Dome here to go against another team with a 10-man ride.
Coming into the season, you knew all the offensive talent that you had. And you got to do is start with Joey Spallina and go down the line. Defensively last week, though, I thought they played pretty well. At times were a little lackluster on their switches, so to say.
Yeah.
But how would you rate how the defensive unit played and encaged Jimmy McCool with 12 saves?
I think you're exactly right. I think there were a couple pick plays that got them, and just some bad communication first game where you got to call out who's getting who a little bit better. But I think they've got a very solid defensive unit. And actually, Inside Lacrosse released like their top 5 defensive units in the country, and then they had some honorable mentions. I was a little surprised to see Syracuse wasn't on that. I mean, Riley Figueres, to me, is the most underrated player on the team. When you look at who gets the All-American nominations and who gets the accolades on the team, I feel like he always falls too far down that list. And Billy Juan gets maybe more praise from an All-American perspective because he scores some flashy goals and he has the flashy stats to his name, but Riley is always covering the top guy, and he is in the best compliment you can give to a defensive player. We don't talk about him that much throughout the game, and he kind of goes under the radar because of how sound he is. And I do think Jimmy McCool is an All-American level goalie, and I like what they have in terms of the size at the short stick defensive midfield position compared to the last couple of seasons. So I think their defense is not going to be an issue throughout the year. And if anything, it should be a little bit better than the offense, I'd imagine.
Joey Spallina at 251 career points. He's 3 away from passing Gary Gate for 8th all-time in program history, 57 away from that magic number 308, which would pass Mikey Powell for most in program history. What is his legacy going to be? And is it contingent on him winning a title? Let's say, for the sake of argument, let's say they win a title. Mm-hmm. What is and he's he leads them to that. What is his legacy here with all the all-time greats? Is he among the all-time greats?
So I would say he's on the Mount Rushmore if he wins the title. I don't think you can pass Gary Gate or Mikey Powell because to me, anyone that it's almost like the MJ LeBron debate. Anyone that I talk to that saw both players play, they all say MJ, I feel like, or anyone that had the opportunity to watch MJ's entire career. Maybe that's generalizing a little bit too much, but in general, it's like everyone wows or talks so glowingly about Gary and Mike Powell. And I've watched all the old game film, and they're just on a different level in terms of athletes and what they did to the sport and just how impressive and how much it was like jaw-dropping stuff, what they were doing. Joey's never going to be that, but Joey statistically is going to have one of the best careers in Syracuse history, and he probably will be the all-time leading scorer, barring an injury this year when he's done with his career. So if you're just going off of stats, you have to put him in the conversation with the all-time greats, and then to actually get to Mount Rushmore, you got to win a national title at Syracuse, and he knows that as much as anyone.
When you're looking at the team as a whole, it was talked about in big games. Did you have that guy that could go one-on-one and take him off? Because that's not the player that Joey is.
Yeah.
Do you feel that Syracuse offense has the potential to be better this year than what we saw last year?
Yeah, I think Peyton Anderson is kind of that guy, yes. And he's only a sophomore, and he's only going to get better, you would think. He's got the athleticism that if you throw the ball to him on the wing and he's able to get some space and dodge, I think he can definitely break you down. I think Bo Khan, who is a second midi right now as a true freshman, is also in the category of just gives them kind of a different look. Yep. And Gary has been open and honest about they're trying to recruit players that have that profile a little bit more. And with all due respect to like Wyatt Huddle, I mean, he's a fantastic player and has had a nice career at Syracuse. He's a speed demon who just, when you look at him on the field, you can tell his best attribute is speed. Peyton Anderson has some speed, but he's also got the ability to bull dodge you, and same with Bo Khan. So I think Michael Leo has a little bit of that shake in his game too. So I think they're better equipped in that regard than they have been in previous years. But Joey is not going to suddenly be someone that is going to completely break you down. He's always going to be more of a pass-first type of guy, or just someone that wows you with his vision and some of the other attributes.
I mean, the pass he made the other day was ridiculous, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
We should mention the women's lacrosse team in action for the first time this year under new head coach Reggie Thorpe. What are you expecting out of this team? A lot of new faces, right? I mean, new head coach, potentially new style of play, and a lot of the players from last year gone to either graduation, their eligibility is out, or they've transferred.
What I've heard, and I would say this team's going to be a lot better than people think, or a lot better than number 11 in the country, but I also think they might get off to a slow start just naturally because of the schedule. They could definitely beat Maryland tonight. I think that's probably the easiest game of their first group of games here, because then they play UNC at home next Friday night. UNC is going to be really tough. They're number 1 in the country. They bring back a lot of their national championship team from last year. They go to Stanford early on in the season, so they might get off to a slow start record-wise, and I think Reggie Thorpe is kind of just like, I don't know, we'll see how good this team is. I mean, you guys talked to him, and that's kind of the vibe I'm getting from him. But I also think the people that have seen them closely and comparing them to last year, they know that they're pretty good. They've got some talent, and I think everyone's really excited about Reggie Thorpe being the head coach. It's just going to be interesting. When do they start clicking, and what's their record after the first couple games? I wouldn't overreact if they start like 0-2 or 0-3, because the schedule is just really tough.
Very tough schedule for the SU women's lacrosse team to start. Let's finish up by talking SU women's basketball. I know it was a game yesterday that they were supposed to win. They did win. They won handily. Did anything stand out to you from that performance?
It was just great to see everyone got in the game that could. Journey Thompson is still out with an upper body injury, but I would expect her to play Sunday against Louisville. So all 14 players that were healthy got in the game, and they all scored as well. And Maddie Potts was really great to see. She hit 4 threes in the second half, 12 points. Coach Jack told me after the game that she recently sadly had a death in her family, and obviously she's from Australia. She couldn't go back to her family, couldn't be with them like she would want. So, she's kind of playing with a heavy heart right now, and she has that great performance, almost a career high, 12 points off the bench. And it just spoke to what a difference a year makes for Syracuse, because last time I left Conti Forum, it was a real low point in the Coach Jack era. They lost by 41 to them last year, and that was a shell-shocking loss, and they went 12-18 last year, and there was a lot of like, okay, how good is this program going to be? And do they have the right coach and that type of stuff? And now you look at this year and they're beating them by 40 plus. And obviously BC is down and we expected them to win easily, but you're talking about a team that's 19-4 right now. And if you had told me that at the start of the year, I would have thought you were crazy. You know, I know their schedule maybe hasn't been that tough, but they're still playing in the ACC. They're still going on the road in the ACC, and they're beating the teams in front of them, and they're playing some really good basketball right now. So you don't get to 19-4 unless you've got something working for you for sure.
Realistic chance on Sunday against Louisville. What's it going to take to beat the Cardinals?
Louisville's good, really good. I think it's going to be tough just because they're a really good rebounding team. Syracuse sort of prides themselves on being good on the glass, and that's what's helped them. The Orange have been shooting better from three-point range in the last 3 games. Louisville's a very good defensive team against the three, one of the best teams in the country and the best in the ACC at three-point field goal percentage defense. So, I mean, it's going to be a challenge, but Bart Torvik says it's going to be about a 7-point win for Louisville. That feels right to me. I think what will be encouraging is if Syracuse, this is a pretty similar level team to Michigan, who they played in the non-conference stretch of the schedule. And as Coach Jack put it, they got punched by Michigan and they didn't really get up or punch back. And she wants them to just not go in with any fear in this game. You belong on the court now. You've been proving it. Let's see you do it against a top-tier team, because we sort of saw that against UNC, and we really saw it in the fourth quarter against UNC on the road. Louisville's a better team than UNC, so it's going to take a little bit more probably. But I would imagine if they keep playing the way they've been playing, they'll be right in the game. I think it's just a matter of not letting, Louisville beat you before you get on the court. Don't get too scared to go up against big, bad Louisville, because they are a much better team. Just play your game, and hopefully that puts you right in and going into the fourth quarter.
And hopefully people come out and support this team. Great opportunity for the community to get out and support this team. Noon tip. As we were talking about off air, you got plenty of time. If you want to watch the Super Bowl, go to your Super Bowl party. The game's at noon. It'll be over by 2. So hopefully fans can get out and support the women's team, as you mentioned, Tim, having a fantastic year. All right, we're going to take our final time out. We're going to wrap up the show, wrap up the week next on ESPN Radio.
This is...
So I would, for organization overtime, I would just do just the lacrosse part. That's why I kind of paused after he got done with women's lacrosse. I would just do men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse.
No love for women's hoops, too? No, kidding.
That was the first talking point, I think.
Oh, I got you.
Like we talked about it.
You
for
did
like
it, yeah.
3.5 minutes, and then went into Devo.
Nice.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was off of the game last night. I got you.
Yeah. Taking the Rugrats Sunday.
Nice. Win the off day, right?
Yeah.
That's your new hashtag?
Ashley's tweet back working the off.
I like that.
I wanted to add to it. It was my mic. I'll tell you after the show.
Yeah, it's up. Oh, I got you. You want it down.
I wanted to add to it when I was like, I'll let Nora film for you, and I wanted to put couldn't be any worse than some of the things filmed by your coworker.
Jeez.
My buddies were reminiscing about the start of college baseball seasons this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And my best friend played at Akron, and he got drafted by the Mets. And then my other good buddy played at Duquesne. Duquesne no longer has a baseball team. He won the A10 Player of the Year senior year at Duquesne, and the following year they disbanded their program.
Jeez.
But he said it was either his junior or senior year. They opened up with Florida State, LSU, and Alabama. That was their first 3 series of the season. He's like, so we faced Buster Posey. I gotta find that text. It's like Buster Posey and where's it at?
Cuse Football's announcing some staff changes.
Well, is Castillo going to the Giants?
Not on here. I know that's been rumored, right?
Yeah.
No, it's Marcus Walker will coach the Nichols.
Huh. Where's it at?
Right
here.
Dennis Thomas, who's already been on staff, good guy, is going to be the running backs coach.
The basic text was Northeast teams practicing in like gym floors and taking BP and like and then going outside and like playing a game. And he's like 100% scary as fuck. We started out with Florida State, Buster Posey, LSU, and Alabama. Went 0-9, then we won 12 in a row. He goes, where is that? LSU had DJ LeMahieu and Will Clark. They hit 10 home runs in 3 games against us.
Jesus. God, those guys must have torched it. That level.
He's like, we'd play a series, get our butts kicked, come back, practice inside a bumble, and then travel again.
Yeah, you see all the thing that Kark said last week about moving lacrosse indoors.
I saw Gary's comments yesterday. Probably like
1
minute and a half.
1 minute and 12 seconds.
It looks pretty dry. Do you want anything?
Good. Chicken Infante. What is Chicken Infante? Is this like your go-to?
Without sauce.
I got chicken parm as the post-game meal with women's basketball last night, and I didn't have a fork in the to-go thing. So I finally got one on the plane when I asked the flight attendant. But for a little bit, I was trying to eat chicken parm with a spoon.
Or just the knife?
Which it was like spaghetti pasta with the chicken parm, yeah. I was so hungry, I was like, gosh, where's the fork?
Sir, why do you have 12 forks now packed in your carry-on bag?
I like enchiladas. I don't even think I really like enchiladas. What makes you say that, Gavendo?
Not much of an enchilada.
Did I missed something?
Are we doing ours of the day here?
No.
Okay.
I mean, let's just wrap, yeah.
ESPN Syracuse sports talk shows on QSportsTalk.com.
This is Orange Nation.
All right, Steve, Mario, Tim with you here for another minute or so. We didn't get into predictions for tomorrow. I guess we can give those quickly. Normally we pick artists of the day. We're not going to do that. We'll let Paulie deal with that when he comes back on Monday.
Do you remember who you picked yesterday? Or
I just remember him saying you missed out on who the artist of the day was supposed to be.
I picked Rihanna. I can't remember who we settled on as the artist.
I'm sure that'll be Monday. If we want to keep that, but yeah, if we know it's going to be, we've already picked someone that we haven't used, we'll just do that Monday, and we don't have to pick again.
That's fair. What do you guys got tomorrow? I think Ken Pop's got a 12-point Virginia win. I think I saw.
Yeah,
higher or lower than that?
Higher.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to say higher too.
Yeah, until we see differently. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel as well. Until we see differently.
How about men's lax? 7 was last week. We see more than a 7-goal win this week.
I think they'll win. I think St. Joe's is a much better defensive team. I'm going to say a low-scoring 10-5 win, 11-5 win.
But convincing, but low-scoring because of the way St. Joe's
similar
plays.
to last week.
I'll buy that. And then our winners for the Super Bowl, Seahawks for me.
I'm going to go Seahawks for me. I'm not going to skip out on basketball. SU women's basketball on Sunday.
I'll say Syracuse loses a close one. Similar to UNC, probably a 4 or 5 point loss. I think the type of loss that they prove themselves, we leave there happy about the team, but Louisville is just really darn good.
Yeah, if Louisville wouldn't have lost to Duke, I would think maybe they could, but they're going to be mad. Bounce back. And yeah.
You got the Patriots in the Super Bowl, I assume?
I can't not pick the Patriots.
Right, that's fair. All right. We got to go, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday. Take care.
This is